Now you might think of Bitcoin as this weird internet money thing that tech bros obsess over. And you'd be half right, it's weird internet money that tech bros obsess over, but it's also so much more than that. It's a revolutionary technology with the potential to change, well, everything. But what you might not know is that the story of Bitcoin begins not in some shadowy hacker den, but right here in the good old US of A. That's right, folks. The United States played a crucial role in laying the technological and ideological groundwork for cryptocurrency, even if it didn't directly create Bitcoin or other coins. Here's how. Back in the 1990s, while most Americans were busy rocking out to Nirvana and trying to figure out this whole World Wide Web thing, a group of, let's be honest, mostly dudes, were busy laying the philosophical foundation for Bitcoin. These were the cypherpunks, digital privacy activists who believed in the power of cryptography to protect individual liberty. Think of them as the John Lockes of the internet age, if John Locke wore a lot more tie-dye and wrote manifestos about digital signatures. These guys, with names like Timothy May and Eric Hughes, believed that privacy wasn't just about hiding your browser history, it was a fundamental human right. And they saw the internet as a tool that could either liberate us or enslave us, depending on who controlled it. Spoiler alert, they did want the government controlling it. They were deeply skeptical of centralized power, whether it was big government, or, in a twist you don't see coming, big banks. Enter Austrian economics, a school of thought that champions free markets and minimal government intervention. It was like catnip for these guys, confirming their deepest suspicions about the evils of central banking. Little did they know, their cypherpunk ideals and this Austrian economics obsession would become the guiding principles for a whole new financial system. One that, ironically, most of them would probably still struggle to explain to their parents. Now you can't talk about cryptocurrency without talking about the tech behind it, and that's where things get really interesting, and by interesting I mean potentially headache-inducing, but bear with me. In 1976, two American researchers, Whitfield Diffie and Martin Hellman, developed something called public key cryptography. Imagine a mailbox with two keys, one to lock it and one to open it. Anyone can use the public key to send you a message, lock the mailbox, but only you, with your private key, can open it. This was revolutionary. It meant you could have secure communication online without needing some central authority to verify your identity. Sound familiar? That's because it's the foundation of how Bitcoin transactions work. But wait, there's more. In 1997, a British programmer named Adam Back created something called Hashcash, a system originally designed to prevent email spam. It used a clever little mechanism called proof of work, which basically means you have to solve a difficult math problem before you can send an email. Now, you might be thinking, John, what does this have to do with Bitcoin? Well, Satoshi Nakamoto, the mysterious creator of Bitcoin, saw Hashcash's potential and adapted its proof of work system to create the backbone of Bitcoin's security. And it wasn't just Hashcash. American cryptographers were busy cooking up all sorts of digital cash prototypes in the 90s. There was Wei Dai's B-Money, a decentralized currency system that, while never fully implemented, directly influenced Bitcoin's design. And then, there was Nick Szabo's BitGold, another precursor to Bitcoin that explored the idea of digital scarcity. It's almost like these guys were playing a game of technological hot potato, tossing around ideas that would eventually coalesce into the cryptocurrency we know and, well, some of us love today. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the eagle on the dollar bill. While cypherpunks were busy building the philosophical and technological foundations of cryptocurrency, the US government wasn't just sitting on the sidelines. In fact, they were pouring money into cryptography research, albeit often for their own, shall we say, national security purposes. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, better known as DARPA, the folks who brought you the internet itself, were also deeply interested in cryptography. And then there's the National Security Agency, the NSA, who, let's be honest, probably know more about your online activity than your own mother. They've been researching cryptography and digital security for decades, trying to crack codes while simultaneously developing new ones. But here's where things get really weird. In 1996, a group of NSA researchers published a paper titled How to Make a Mint the Cryptography of Anonymous Electronic Cash. And guess what? It describes a system that's eerily similar to Bitcoin. Coincidence? Maybe, or maybe not. The NSA has denied any involvement in Bitcoin's creation, but it's enough to make you wonder, isn't it? And let's not forget about Tor, the anonymity software that allows users to browse the web without being tracked. The Tor project has received significant funding from the US government over the years. Why? Well, it's a valuable tool for dissidents and activists living under repressive regimes. But it's also used by, you guessed it, cryptocurrency enthusiasts who want to keep their transactions private. So the US government inadvertently helped create a tool that's now essential for the cryptocurrency world they claim to be so wary of. Now let's address the elephant in the tinfoil hat. Did the US government create Bitcoin? The short answer is, probably not. But the long answer is much more interesting. There are countless conspiracy theories swirling around Bitcoin's origins. Some believe that Satoshi Nakamoto is a pseudonym for a collective of government agents, perhaps even the NSA themselves. The thinking goes that Bitcoin was a way for them to experiment with digital currencies, or even a backup plan for a global financial meltdown. Others believe that Bitcoin was a deliberate attempt to undermine traditional financial systems, a sort of Trojan horse for economic freedom. This theory often paints Satoshi Nakamoto as a libertarian hero, a digital Che Guevara fighting against the tyranny of central banks. They point to the timing of Bitcoin's launch in 2009, right in the middle of the global financial crisis, as evidence of its anti-establishment roots. And then there's the possibility that Bitcoin was the brainchild of a lone wolf, a brilliant but eccentric programmer who just wanted to create something cool. Maybe Satoshi Nakamoto was just a techie with a vision tinkering away in their basement, completely unaware of the revolution they were about to unleash. The truth is, we may never know who Satoshi Nakamoto really is or what their true intentions were. And that's part of what makes Bitcoin so fascinating. It's a mystery wrapped in an enigma, sprinkled with a healthy dose of paranoia. But regardless of its origins, one thing is clear. Bitcoin has tapped into a deep-seated distrust of centralized power, a sentiment that's particularly strong here in the US. And that, my friends, is something the government can't control, no matter how hard they try. So did the US government directly invent Bitcoin? Probably not. But did they create the conditions that made it possible? Absolutely. The US didn't directly launch Bitcoin, as far as we know, but it absolutely planted the seeds through ideological incubation, cryptographic research, technological innovation, and digital rights activism. From the cypherpunks fighting for digital privacy to the government agencies inadvertently funding the tools that would make cryptocurrency possible, the US played a pivotal role in Bitcoin's creation, whether they intended to or not. It's a story filled with irony, intrigue, and more than a few what-ifs. But one thing's for sure, Bitcoin is here to stay, and its impact on the world is only just beginning.